Hi, I'm Mike McCormick here at GBTA Studios in Toronto, and I'm here with Nancy Medoff, Principal of AthenaWise Strategic Solutions. She just presented with our Win It conference here. Very exciting time for us, for the organization, and happy to have you here today.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Mike.
So you did a great presentation on persuasive communication techniques, and tell me about generally, like, how does confidence impact negotiations? Because I know you talked a bit about that in your session.
I did. So confidence impacts negotiations significantly. It's actually been statistically proven, not just my opinion, that your level of confidence going into a negotiation impacts the outcome. And on the contrary, people who are underconfident in a negotiation only have a 20% success rate. So it makes a difference.
Deal from strength, right? Or at least the perception of strength.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fake it till you become it. Yep.
So when you talk about negotiations, though, and then in light of your Win It presentation this morning, how do gender differences play into this, and do they?
They absolutely do. There's a huge, huge difference. Most evidenced by and most famous is the gender gap and the gender wage gap. Research shows that even out of college, women earn about $5,000 less a year than men. That translates to about 18% of a weekly reduction or difference, and if you times that out over a career, a 40-year career, for many women that's about $400,000 all the way up to about $1 million, depending on the female and the race and the ethnicity. That to me is $1 million problem.
It is, and one you're looking to solve.
Exactly, yep.
Well, and one that we're certainly trying to do our best to bring to light and to help bring, deliver programs and awareness that can help change that, among other things.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of that, when you talk about the Win It community and talk about yourself and your own career, because you were executive at Marriott for many years, very successful there, a little bit about what do you attribute that to, and any advice you would give, or maybe the best advice you've ever got?
Sure. I think the best advice I would give comes from some of the best advice I've ever gotten, and that's to find a mentor.
Right.
But I actually would take that and kind of amp it up a little bit, and rather than one mentor, I think everyone should have 4 or 5. I call it my own personal board of directors.
Right.
So these are people that really don't have a stake in the outcome other than they want me to be successful, people outside of the business that you're in or outside of the company that you're in, and aren't afraid to tell you the truth, even if it might be difficult to hear.
Yeah, and that really helps. I mean, to your point, especially in business today, you need that outside influences, because even if your company is a terrific company, progressive and providing support, it's still getting that third party, kind of like you said, insight and candor. Right. Because we can't improve unless we get great, get great advice, right, and get insight.
Exactly. The only thing I would add to that is, it's not necessarily getting advice from them as I got older or more mature. It was more validating what I already knew and using them to bounce ideas off of, rather than having them tell me what to do. It was more about validating that I was making the right decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, complicated at times too, right? As you work through all the internal issues and career, and career is a very individual thing, of course.
Right, for sure.
Great. Any last words of advice for our audience?
No, I would just say confidence impacts outcomes, and it's a skill. You can learn it, you can practice it, and the more you practice, the better you'll get.
And then, honestly, people want to work with you too, right? In that, when you take that kind of positive attitude, it really does help.
It is. It's contagious.
It is contagious.
Yep.
Great work.
Yep.
Well, again, Nancy, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our program here this morning. It was outstanding.
Thank you.
And thank you for being part of Win It by GBTA.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I'm Mike McCormick, live from GBTA Studios here in Toronto.